Hello everyone, it's Shel from Paper Rock TO Studio, and today I'm sharing with you my tag that I made for a Facebook group called Tag It Tuesday. And this is my friend's group, Sherry Whitfield, and she has a challenge every month for making a tag. And this month the theme or challenge or whatever is drips and splatters. So I had this idea that I wanted to make a girl on a tag with the drips being her hair. So that was my concept to start out with. And I had this tag that I had cleaned up some black gesso with. I just scraped it on there with the credit card, and then at some point later I had some probably titanium white high flow left over from something, and I dripped it on there. So I started out with that tag, and I needed a face for my girl. So I decided to make that on a scrap of mixed media paper and then collage it on there, because that seemed easier than drawing it onto the black and then having to put a couple coats of white gesso, to make it lighten up, and it would be more than one coat because that black gesso is really, really dark and hard to cover up. So I thought this would be easier. Now I kind of wished I'd done it the other way. But anyway, you'll see why. But this is a scrap of Dick Blick mixed media paper. And, paper in your projects makes a huge difference. The combination of the paper mixed with the medium that you're using is like the biggest issue that I have. I seem to fail to pick the correct paper to go with the correct medium pretty often. Mixed media paper, and I thought this was better mixed media paper than the Canson that I have. It doesn't like water, so I don't know why they continue to say it's for mixed media when if you put any water soluble stuff on there, it starts to make the paper pill, and that was what I struggled with on this project. So I drew my girl, and that was, with my soft graphite and my drafting pencil, mechanical pencil. And then I am using the Faber-Castell PET pens, which are an India ink pen, to go over my lines and make them darker. This is a whimsical girl, not realistic. Nobody really has that big of eyes. Well, I mean, there probably is somebody, but not very many people. But I like big eyes, small noses on my girls. So then once I had the illustration done, I cut it out, and at this point I'm like, dang it, I wished I would have made the neck longer, because then I didn't really want to put it at the bottom because I didn't think that looked right to have all that stuff at the top and then the face at the very bottom. I wanted to put it 2/3 of the way up, 2/3 of the way down basically, but then the neck wasn't long enough, and I hadn't drawn shoulders or anything, and so I was like, dang it. So I was trying to figure out different ways to cover that up, and I decided I would just put some sort of paper to make like, a shirt at the bottom, a shirt or dress or something. So then I started to color. I thought I was going to use these water-soluble brush pens. That was my first idea because it's a quick and easy color, but they were not going on the paper in the way that I expected. They were blotchy, and because I don't have a camera that I can zoom, it would be really nice if I could zoom, and show you this up close so you could see what I mean, why it was bothering me. But it was blotchy. It wouldn't blend with the water. So that's my first coat of water. I put a bunch of water in there, and I thought, oh, well, I'll use my Neocolor 2s. Because I often do faces with Neocolor 2s. I have a lot of skin-toned crayons. But you know what? They weren't blending either. And furthermore, the more I tried to blend with my water barrel brush, the more the paper was breaking down. And I started to get paper peeling off, balling up and peeling off. The paper just wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't absorbing, or I'm not really sure what, but I didn't want to start over. I didn't want to. I wanted to just keep on with this face. So the final result is that she does have some pretty bad peeled skin on her cheeks. If she was a real girl, she would need some serious lotion, maybe some oils to really get that skin rehydrated because it's very cracked and peeled on the cheek parts. But my next thought was, okay, I'll put some acrylic paint on there, and that will seal the paper, and then, you know, and while I'm at it, I can put the highlights on with some acrylic paint. So I got out some High Flow, which is a fluid acrylic paint, and started to put that on. And then I gave everything a real good dry, and you can see I'm peeling the paper pulp off. It's just very frustrating. I just don't think I like mixed media paper. I'm trying to like this brand, but I just don't think I like it. I just really don't. So I continued my coloring, coloring the eyes, you know, continued to color, to add more tones of color into the skin, into the lips and everything. And yeah, the paper's really rough. It's hard to see in the video. I can see now that you really can't see what I'm talking about, but it is a problem. It's a problem with this paper. It makes it look blotchy kind of on the cheeks. You can kind of see that the color isn't blending the way I wanted it to. But oh well, it turned out fine. I need to stop complaining. I just do want to tell you, mixed media paper sometimes makes me mad. It just makes me mad. So once I was done with all my coloring, I decided to go ahead and collage it onto the tag. And I'm using the gel matte medium, the thicker type of matte medium, to attach it because mixed media paper is a little bit on the thick side. And I'm giving the top of it a coat as well, going over the whole thing to get it all sealed in and sealed down, and then drying it. And then I start my dripping process, again using all the High Flow from Golden. I've got fluorescent pink, teal, Hands Yellow, and indigo, and titanium white. Indigo is a really pretty color. It's like a dark bluish, almost purplish blue. So since the paper is thick, the paper that I collaged on is thick, I expected, as long as I was careful, that the drips would just go around the edge of it and not go in to the face much, because there's a lip for it to flow around. But I did get some onto her skin. It didn't work exactly as I expected, but it worked close to how I expected. I didn't think that it was going to go up over that lip, and I guess when I was using the mini mister to spray some water on there to get the drips to spread a little bit the way I wanted them to, that force caused water to go into the face, and then I did get some overlap. So I was blotting it to try to keep it off the skin, because I hadn't intended to repaint the skin. I probably could have just not painted the skin at all, collaged it on there, and then did all the painting at the end, and that would have saved me some time. So if you guys are planning on doing a project like this, that might be what you want to do. Another option, of course, would be to drip everything and then put the face on at the end, but I thought that having the acrylic flow around the skin would fill up that little gap where the two papers are attached and make it seem as though it's more blended in with the tag. That was my reasoning. I have reasons for what I do, but sometimes my reasons aren't correct. I guess everyone has that problem. So I didn't end up using the Hansa Yellow. I just used the teal, the fluorescent pink, the indigo, and the titanium white. I decided the yellow wasn't going to look right. The fluorescent is a little bit transparent, the fluorescent pink, and so it doesn't show up as brightly as I was hoping it would. I ended up putting some more on over the white area so that it really shows up. It's a pretty color, but it gets very, very dulled by the dark background. So then to fix the places where I got some of the drips onto the skin, I'm using Liquitex Basics Portrait Pink paint, which is a heavy body. It's student grade, but it's a heavy body paint. So it's more opaque, and I can go over those areas where I got dark drips and splatters and whatever onto the skin. So had I just done this at the end instead of doing all that coloring first and then messing it up and fixing it, this thing would have been like a 10-minute video instead of a 18 or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? This should have been an easy project. I made it more difficult than it really needed to be. So I decided to use a doily as her shirt on the bottom because it seems more feminine. And so I decided to just go in and paint in some shoulders, not anything fancy, just enough so that that skin tone would show through the doily, since doilies do have holes in them. Otherwise, you might be able to see too much of that abrupt ending line where I cut her neck off. Poor thing. And I did get a little bit of white gesso and add back in some highlights. And I think I even got the crayons back out and added in some more shadows again. I did. See? There they are. All this could have been avoided, but oh well. Faces require so many layers anyway that this is just some more layering. Now that the matte medium is over the entire face from when I collaged it on, I'm having a lot better blending with my water barrel brush. It's blending the colors a lot better because the paper's all sealed and it's not so porous as it once was. So that makes a difference. So now I'm going to put the doily on. So I'm again using the Liquitex Gel Matte Medium and putting that collage piece on to cover up where she doesn't have a body. Easy peasy. It's kind of a high neck shirt. Normally I draw V-necks or scoops or something like that, but then I bring back out the Faber-Castells. Since I used the Portrait Pink heavy body paint, of course, that completely obliterates lines because it's an opaque paint. So I have to go back in and draw my lines again using my illustration markers. This is the size small tip, probably the one I use the most. And then I'm going to end up adding some eyelashes with the extra small tip. I also use the medium quite a bit if I'm doing illustrations. But the other sizes, they're all pretty much brand new because I hardly ever use them. Occasionally I use the brush tip. There's also a calligraphy tip. You know, like an angled tip, which if I ever was to do writing, I might use that to make fancy writing. But added in the catch lights in her eyes by using my white Posca pen. And then my final thing is to use the Stabilo All pencil and my water barrel brush to just give some definition to the hair. If you have long hair, it's generally a lot darker against your neck, right under your ears, and down your neck is the darkest area because that's where the shadow is on your hair. So I added that in with black, and then also the part of her hair. That also helps to blend the collage pieces into the background and make them look more cohesive visually. Then I decided that since I had used the fluorescent pink in the background that I needed to bring it into the foreground. So I decided to give her pinker cheeks and lips using the fluorescent pink to help it to help the composition be more balanced. Using quite a bit of water to blend that in. And then drips and splatters. So I added some splatters using the leftover white gesso on my palette. And it kind of almost looks like one of those galaxy paintings that you see around. Then I decided maybe I would add even a little bit more definition to the top part of the hair, just because I wasn't real super happy. So I added that in as well. It doesn't show up that much, but it's just a hint of it. A little heart on her cheek with a pink Posca. Then I decided to put some words in that upper area where it seemed like there was a lot of black and a little bit of white. So I thought I would add some of these words from one of the Tim Holtz chat set tablet things. The final thing that I did was to add some fibers, which are the color of the indigo paint that I used. And then my little tag was complete. If you'd like to join Tag It Tuesday, there's a link below to the Facebook group. And I'd be very appreciative if you would leave me a comment so I know you were here, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notification bell, share if you want to. Thanks. Bye-bye.